Welcome to PRISCI-ANTO Educational Academy. Today I am going to explain you the standard form in LPP. The general linear programming problem is maximize z is equal to c1x1 plus c2x2 plus etc. plus cnxn subject to the constraints a11x1 plus a12x2 plus etc. plus a1nxn, which is equal to b1. a21x1 plus a22x2 plus etc. plus a2nxn is equal to b2. Continuing in this way, finally you will get am1x1 plus am2x2 plus etc. plus amnxn, which is equal to bm, and x1 comma x2 etc. xn is greater than or equal to 0. This form of LPP is called standard form matrix. Standard form. So this is very important. That standard form is every constraint to be equal to. So let us see some example. So example one is, to express the following LPP in standard form. In the standard form, every constraints should be equal symbol. Should be in equal symbol. Minimize z is equal to 5x1 plus 7x2. Subject to the constraints x1 plus x2 less than or equal to 8. 3x1 plus 4x2 is greater than or equal to 3. 6x1 plus 7x2 is greater than or equal to 5. x1 comma x2 is greater than or equal to 0. So minimize z is given. We have to change to maximize z. The answer is minimize z is equal to minus maximize z star. So maximize z star, which is equal to, by minus sign we have to multiply minus 5x1 minus 7x2. Subject to the constraints x1 plus x2 less than or equal to 8, 3x1 plus 4x2 greater than or equal to 3, 6x1 plus 7x2 greater than or equal to 5. Here there are three constraints. One is less than or equal to, another two is greater than or equal to. x1 comma x2 greater than or equal to 0. Now less than or equal to symbol is there. If there is the less than or equal to symbol, you have to add slack variable. You have to add slack variable. Greater than or equal to means you have to subtract surplus variable. Less than or equal to symbol, if there is less than or equal to symbol, you have to add slack variable. If you are adding slack variable, that constraints can write is equal to symbol. In the similar way, in the way next, if greater than or equal to is given, you have to make it to equal to symbol. We subtract surplus variable. So slack variable we have to add subtract surplus variables. So first, in the first constraint we have to add the slack variable. In another two constraints, second and third constraint, we have to subtract the surplus variables. Okay, so maximize z is equal to, maximize z star is equal to minus 5x1 minus 7x2. How many slack and surplus variables we are going to add? One slack variable s1. I have taken slack s1 in constraint 1. S2 surplus variable, because second constraint is greater than or equal to, there I have to subtract S2. Third constraint also greater than or equal to symbol, I have to subtract S3. So I am going to add slack variable S1, surplus variables S2 and S3. So maximize that can write minus 5x1 minus 7x2 plus 0s1 plus 0s2 plus 0s3. How many slack and surplus variable you are adding, you are going to add in the constraints, you have to add in the maximize z with 0, right? 0s1 plus 0s2 plus 0s3. Subject to the constraints x1 plus x2 plus s1 is equal to 8. First constraint, because less than or equal to, I have added slack variable. Second constraint is given greater than or equal to, I have subtracted s2. So 3x1 plus 4x2 minus s2 is equal to 3. Third constraint, 6x1 plus 7x2 minus s3 is equal to 5. So and x1, x2, s1, s2, s3 greater than or equal to 0. So this is the result. The next one question, express the LPP in standard form. Maximize z is equal to 3x1 plus 2x2 plus 5x3. Subject to the constraints 2x1 minus 3x2 less than or equal to 3. x1 plus x2, 2x2 plus 3x3 is greater than or equal to 5. 3x1 plus 2x3 less than or equal to 2. x1, x2 is greater than or equal to 0. x3 is unrestricted. So, which is unrestricted? x3 is unrestricted. So, that's why you have to write, given x3 unrestricted, x3 is equal to x3 dash minus x3 double dash. So, maximize z is equal to 3x1 plus 2x2 plus 5 into x3 dash minus x3 double dash. Subject to the constraints 2x1 minus 3x2 less than or equal to 3. There is no x3. Second constraint x1 plus 2x2 plus 3 into x3 dash minus x3 double dash greater than or equal to 5. Third constraint 3x1 plus 2 into x3 dash minus x3 double dash less than or equal to 2. And x1, x2, x3 dash, x3 double dash greater than or equal to 0. So the standard form is here first constraint and the third constraint are having less than or equal to symbol. So we have to add slack variable, two slack variables in constraint 1 and constraint 3. Second constraint, we have to subtract surplus variable because greater than or equal to symbol is given. So the standard form is maximize z is equal to 3x1 plus 2x2 plus 5x3 dash minus 5x3 double dash plus 0s1 plus 0s2 plus 0s3. So subject to the constraints 2x1 minus 3x2 plus s1 is equal to 3. x1 plus 2x2 plus 3x3 dash minus 3x3 double dash minus s2 is equal to 5. 3x1 plus 2x3 dash minus 2x3 double dash plus s3 is equal to 2. So x1 comma x2 comma x3 dash x3 double dash s1 s2 s3 greater than or equal to 0. Maximize that you have to write 3x1 plus 2x2 plus 5x3 dash minus 5x3 double dash, right, plus 0s1 plus 0s2 plus 0s3. So this is the standard form. So thank you.